technical errors here, so if you can still hear the theme tune, I do apologise. But I am here with Mike Duffy to do a preview, not a preview, a review of the Birmingham City victory. Watford ran out 2-0 winners at Vicarage Road, and it was actually our 11th, our ninth. I completely butchered all of this, haven't I, Mike? I was just talking about the stats before we came on. So Watford have actually won 9 out of 11 home games that they've faced Birmingham City at Vicarage Road. Got it all out now. Got it out my system. Hopefully that's the only mistakes I'm going to make during this show. I've got 2 already out the bag, so hopefully we end it as that. But yeah, as I say, I've got Mike with me. Mike, how are you doing, mate? You're good? You enjoyed yesterday?
Yeah, I enjoyed yesterday. I mean, for the large part of it, it was pretty boring, to be honest. I thought it was a pretty crap game. I thought Birmingham come to Vicarage Road and really sort of defended well and sort of set themselves up. But I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, no, I thought it's always great getting a win over Birmingham. A lot of bragging rights, and a couple of texts went out afterwards as well. So that was good fun. But honestly, I really screamed the house down when Watford scored, and when I told Beck, because I wasn't meant to be on tonight, I've only free last minute, and when I told the missus that I was on, she said, "Oh, are you going to mention how you screamed the house down when you scored?" And yeah, I did. So always good fun beating Birmingham, and like you say, real good run of form against Birmingham at home as well. So and we beat a real good side as well. They're going to be up there this season.
That's the thing. Well, firstly, my thoughts are with the cat at the moment. I hope the cats came out of hiding after you shouted the house down. But that's the thing. Watford 2-0 victory over Birmingham City, but it wasn't unbeaten Birmingham City. They've gone into the game fourth in a championship. They won their Carabao Cup game as well, so it was a difficult game. I was quietly relieved when I saw Dembele was struggling with his fitness. I think if maybe he was possibly in the starting lineup, it might have been a different picture because their only threats for me really came through Jay Stansfield and Oliver Burke as well. I thought Burke's press was unbelievable. I thought that really added to it. But if they had Dembele on the other side as well, it would be we might have struggled a little bit more, but yeah, thankfully we picked up the 3 points. But Watford did pick up the 3 points against Birmingham, and it's moved us up the table. We were 18th, we're up to 12 now, 12th now, so we've moved up 6 places, and we're at home against West Bromwich Albion on Wednesday as well. So back-to-back league games for Watford at home. Talking about home games as well, we've got a fantastic home record with clean sheets. So that's our 3rd clean sheet of the season out of 4 games. We've only conceded 1 goal in 4 league games, which is a fantastic base to build on. And we've always said, Mike, it's about putting the ball in the back of the net. And that's what Watford have struggled in games this season. We definitely did it away at Stoke. We did it at home to Plymouth Argyle. And I don't know about you, but it seemed like it was going to be the same afternoon at Vicarage Road. Ended up going into the 90th minute. And then Rivich just raised above the 2 central defenders, got his head onto the end of it, and it went past John Roddy in the goal. But did it seem like it was going to be another one of those afternoons until Rivich raised taller to put that in the net?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think credit goes to Birmingham first and foremost. I thought, they showed that they were a team who were 4th in the league and hadn't lost so far this season. And, they come with a plan and they set up really, really well. They were so tough to break down. None of their players were drifting from position, so we couldn't find those little pockets of space. Loser, was non-existent for me. And, a lot of that goes down to Christian Bilic. He was the man that was sitting on Loser the whole game. And it's sort of a little bit reminding me of when I think it was Chelsea, when Eden Hazard was man-marked. I can't remember who they were playing now, but someone literally followed him everywhere he went. Like, he went onto the side of the pitch to get a bottle of water, Hazard did, and the player was following him. So, everyone knew their jobs from Birmingham City side. And yeah, it did look like it was going to be one of those afternoons. It was frustrating. The build-up play was quite slow, quite lethargic, quite static. And, it was a sense of, is it going to be one of them days? So don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the clean sheets at home. Reminds me of the season in lockdown where we got I'm sure we got the most clean sheets at home that season as well. We equalled the best defensive record for the league that season as well. So, sort of getting little comparisons to that season. But I suppose that's that never die attitude. And I think the sending off did help, I thought Birmingham, yes, they did well to hold their fort, but other than a couple of chances from Stansfield, who is some player, by the way, like Fulham have got one hell of a player on the hand.
He's going to the top, isn't he?
100% he is. I thought other than, a couple of chances he had, he hit the post, he tested Backman sort of the first, 30 odd seconds really. And then Scotty Hogan having that double chance, should have scored the follow-up, but we'll take that all day. I thought they didn't really threaten much other than that. And, neither did we. So, yeah, I mean, Rajovic is just showing what a gem he is at the moment. He's had 2 full 90 minutes of football and he scored 3 goals. He's not going to do the dirty work. He's not going to come deep. And, there was a couple of times, I think Tommy Mooney said on the commentary, he said, I don't think he's touched the ball. He had, but he didn't do anything with it. There was a couple of times he'd give the ball away. He'd try and drop deep and play players in, but he'd give the ball away a lot. And, you could tell that he wanted to make runs and he was making runs, but no one could find him. But at the end of the day, Ben, he's been brought as a number 9. He's been brought to put the ball in the back of the net, and he's done it 3 times in the last 2 games. And the first decent bit of service he had, albeit it was 91 minutes in, and he stuck the ball in the back of the net. So, to be quite frank, if he don't do sod all game, but you give him one chance and he puts it away, I couldn't give a shit. I'm happy with that. He's putting the ball in the back of the net, and he's showing that this could be another gem that Watford have found. And again, it could be showing that the work of Ben Manga, who consistently did it at Frankfurt, found these gems from leagues you wouldn't have expected. Rajovic isn't exactly a household name with loads of teams after him. And we've brought him in. He scored 3 goals in 2 games. And he's joint second top goal scorer, albeit with a load of other players, in the whole of the league. So I'm more than happy. And I suppose that's detriment to the way that Ismail set the team up at the moment is we keep going till the end. Yes, it wasn't pretty, but we could have very easily down tools and sort of played out a 0-0 yesterday. But we kept going. Asprilla was brilliant when he come on. He won the foul which got the Buchanan sent off. And we kept going. And we come away with a 2-0 win. And it's another win under our belts against a very good team that will be up there this season.
Definitely, and I put a tweet out after the game saying that I think Watford fans need to realise that he's not a mobile striker, and I think a lot of Watford fans want that type of striker, but those type of strikers as well have let us down in the past. What we've needed for a long time is the guy to be at the right place at the right time, and to be clinical. And Rajovic is clearly showing that he's capable of doing that. Obviously, it's early days. I'm not getting too ahead of myself, but from what I've seen so far, okay, it's a little bit frustrating when you see your centre forward not really touch the ball or be involved as much as I'd like to see him. But that's maybe down to the team as well. Let's not put it all onto his shoulders. End of the day, I don't think he had the service yesterday. Like Mike's just rightly said, his first bit of service he got onto the end of was in the 91st minute and he put it in the back of the net. Imagine if he had service in the 20th minute or the 30th minute and like would have tested the goalkeeper. And for people that do like their stats and that, so he's played 3 games now. He's had 2 starts for Watford. But for 3 goals is massively telling for me. For people that like XG, his expected goals is 1.09. His scoring frequency is every 71 minutes at the moment as well. And for someone to come in who's new to the league, we've got to remember this: he's new to the league. It's not like we've signed him from another Championship side or a Premier League team, and he's came down to the lower league. He's came from the Swedish league. No disrespect to the Swedish league, the Championship's so much more different. It's more competitive. It's more physical. But he's came in and hit the ground running. Do you expect him to follow this trend, Mike? I know he had a bit of a goal drought towards the end of his career over in Sweden, but are you expecting him for as long as we give him that service, he's going to keep supplying us and providing us with the goals?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was looking, funnily enough, I was looking yesterday at his stats, and I think the Swedish league runs a bit different to the way that our league runs in terms of, time of year when it runs. I might be wrong there. Someone might be able to correct me. But in 2023, including his time at Watford, I'm sure he scored 13 goals in this calendar year. And that's some going. I know we've just said that the Swedish league is obviously different to the Championship, and we know King Ken come from the Swedish league, Ostersunds, where Graham Potter was manager as well, and Ken's made the step up, and he's done relatively well at Championship level. But if you're scoring goals at any level, that's going to then translate into whatever league you're going to. So yeah, I think it will continue. We just need to work on getting him that service. That ball from a spree was superb, right on the money. And I'm still in shock. I've watched the goal back a good 4 or 5 times, and I still don't know how he's got up there. And it's such a weird header that he wins. It's almost like he doesn't know that he's won the header. But like we said, he's given the service and he's putting the goals away. They're not pretty goals. They're not, outrageous 40-yard screamers. They're your typical fox in the box type player. He's getting the ball in the box. He's making himself a nuisance. And at the end of the day, they're the ones that count. I don't remember someone this clinical in the box. It's probably Odion Igalo. He was a real fox in the box at the best of times. And yeah, it's someone we've been screaming for. We've been screaming for a proper number 9 since, I would go as far as saying, since Troy Deeney left. And funnily enough, I've been very lucky to answer a few questions in the programme for the Leeds game on Saturday. And one of the questions was, who out of the signings have you been most impressed with? And, spoiler alert, if you are going, you'll know this one. But I've said Rajovic, and I said we've needed a number 9 like this since Troy Deeney. And yeah, they're 2 different players, but at the end of the day, Ben, we're asking him to get into the box and put the ball in the back of the net. And so far, he's done that, and I think he'll continue. And look, this might come back to bite me on the arse, but I think he will get minimum 10 goals this season. If he gets anywhere near 15 and above, we could be looking at playoffs, outside chance of playoffs. People might be laughing. People might be angry. If you feel different, pop it in the comments. Let us know what you think. But I think we're onto a real good player here, Ben.
Well, it's definitely achievable. Look, he's came in. He's played 3 games. He's got 3 goals from 2 starts. We're only 6 games into the season. Well, let's just say if he carries this on, he's definitely going to hit 30 odd goals. If he carries on scoring a goal a game, how many games is there in the Championship? It's already
46.
been 46. So he's on target for 43 goals. Watch his space. Go on, put your mortgage on it, everyone. 43 goals for Rajovic this season. Does that beat Mitrovic's record when he was in the Championship?
Yeah, I think Mitrovic got 42 or 40. So, yeah, Mitrovic, watch your back, son.
Yeah, it's coming for your record. But yeah, we was talking just before we came on air, Mike, and I said we're not going to talk too much in details about the actual game because it was a bit of a bore fest, really. So we're not going to like start off from kick off and do halftime chats and all that like we normally do. We're just talking about the performance in that. But for Rajovic to score that goal, I think it's all came down to Valerie Ishmael's substitutions. Um, his substitutions, he's been sticking at, changing it, do 2 or 3 subs, he's introducing at a time. And he did it again on the hour mark. And the players that he introduced yesterday, that did change the game, didn't it? It just added a bit more intensity, a bit more pace, a bit more precision with passing, and definitely quality into the box. And one man, he provided the assist, Mike, and it was Yasser Asprilla. And Yasser Asprilla also got Buchanan sent off on that second yellow card as well, because he actually ran past him. He did something that Tom Ince wasn't showing in that first half and trying to beat a man. Yasser Asprilla had the beating of him straight away when he came on the pitch.
Yeah, I must say, yesterday I was quite disappointed with Tom Ince. You know, I'd bigged him up massively from the game against Coventry, and I said that he needs to start for me going forward. But he just seemed very reluctant to, as you say, try and beat his man. You know, he'd get the ball and you'd think, "There's a chance, go on, run at him." And
Especially when the fullbacks were on a yellow card so early on into the game.
exactly, yeah. So I was disappointed with Tom Ince yesterday, I must admit. And you could tell that other players were getting frustrated. You know, Martins had dropped deep and win the ball. He'd be looking for that diag, or he'd be looking for someone to run off him coming deep. And it wasn't there. And a couple of times Martins was getting a bit agitated with the players around him. Again, thought Martins had a very good game yesterday as well. But it's quite funny. I was having a conversation with a chap called Matt on Twitter yesterday. And I put a tweet out at half time to sort of say, you know, how I felt. And I said, to be honest, I don't think this is a game for Kone or Asprilla, because I thought, you know, Birmingham, tough to break down. You know, Asprilla, yes, he might be a player to get bums off seats, but is he going to really be able to break this stubborn Birmingham team down? I didn't think so. And to be quite frank, then, I feel them two, as well as Georgie, were the subs to change the game. Asprilla come on and was superb yesterday. One of my mates, in fact, I say one of my mates, Jamie, that was on this podcast, texted me, and he said that Asprilla, he says, in a few years to come, he's going to be some player. And, you know, he definitely saw it. I thought he really, really, you know, made Birmingham struggle at the back yesterday. It was very tricky, found a lot of space out wide as well. Really exploited them on that right hand side, and I thought Kone, you know, I must admit, Kone hasn't really excited me this season, and you know, there was a couple of instances last season where he was sort of a flash in the pan, looked good in spells, but didn't really excite me. Yesterday, come on, every chance he got, he looked to get forward. It reminded me a bit of Will Hughes, actually, because every time Will Hughes got the ball, he just wanted to go forward and he would make things happen.
He looked strong on the ball as well. I don't know if you remember in that second half, there was an occasion where he wrestled the ball back, and then there was a couple of Birmingham players who tried to get it back, and he just brushed them off and drove forward with the ball. But yeah, same as you, mate. I was really impressed with Kone's appearance yesterday. Um, when he's ever came off the bench before, I thought he's been a bit of a passenger. He's not really had that impact that you'd want from a substitute.
Mm-hmm.
Substitutes are there to improve the team, aren't they? They're there to prove a point to the manager and show them that they should be starting the next game. And I've not really seen it recently with Kone, but yesterday I'd be knocking on Valerie's door if I was Kone after that little half an hour cameo appearance, going, "You need to put me in that side ahead of Tom Deddy Basher, who I also thought played really well in that first half. He was one of the only players that actually drove with the ball to get us up the pitch. But Kone for me that's probably the best I've seen him play this season.
I would say it's probably the best I've seen him play in a Watford shirt, full stop, to be honest. And I'm sure there'll be people that agree with me and there'll be people that disagree with me. But I thought, for what it's worth as well, Ben, you mentioned Tom Deli Bashiru there. I thought yesterday was one of his best games. The bar's set a little bit low, but I thought, like you said, spot on. Every time he got the ball, he looked to drive forward. You know, that chance he had in the first half where it just went over, you know, that was the one that sort of kick-started a little bit of pressure for Watford. And he did well to ride a few challenges. Happy birthday to Tom as well. Not that he'll be watching, but it is his birthday today. Um, but yeah, I thought he did really, really well. And like I say, one of his best games in a Watford shirt yesterday, I thought. And when he come off, I'll be honest, I thought, not sure I'd bring Kone on because Tom's done really well. But as I just said, Kone really, really well yesterday. And Trafford sort of had the sort of impact that he did against QPR, in my eyes. Come on, straight away, driving at him, doing what he does best. The only thing which I couldn't quite get my head around, and maybe this is a way that Ishmael's wanting them to play, is Trafford wanted the ball on his right every time. Yasser Asprilla wanted the ball on his left every time. Yet they were playing on the opposite sides to where they wanted the ball. Why not just switch them? Maybe, like I say, Ishmael wants them to cut in and be dangerous like that. But for
Yeah,
me,
he does the same with Martins, doesn't he?
yeah,
And he's done this at previous clubs. He likes playing with inverted winning with us, doesn't he? He likes them to be on their weaker foot on the outside so they can cut in on their stronger foot, don't they? And then you've got the beating of that. But for me, I just think it slows us down too much. Whenever a ball goes out to the wingers, their first initial thought is, right, I need to get it back onto my stronger foot. At that point, the defenders have probably got their line in order, their defensive line. They've probably got an extra man back, and it just slows us down for that. Do you see that as well?
yeah, 100% I do. And we got quite lucky. You saw it yesterday for Asprilla's cross. He got it onto his left foot, and he got the cross in. And luckily, it was pinpoint and it was accurate. And Birmingham didn't have enough time to sort of scramble back to win the header. But absolutely, it does slow you down. You sometimes thinking, oh, we've got a chance here, and then because they're not on their comfortable sides, I think Martins had a chance just before he come off. We were breaking, and it was almost like he slowed the game down to maybe get it on his stronger foot. And you're like, what the hell? What's going on? So yeah, it is frustrating. But look, that's the way he plays, and we've seen the benefits of it as well. Martins cutting in and shooting with his stronger foot. That goal against Coventry for one, hit the bar, absolutely thundered it against Blackburn as well. And we saw Chucho Hernandez do that week in, week out as well. So we know it can work. But yeah, going back to the original point, I thought all the subs yesterday that come on understood the assignment and did what they needed to do. Jamal Lewis as well, considering he's not played, for however long he's not played, I thought it took him a while to get into the game. Totally understand that. He's not played for a long time. But when he did, every opportunity he was bombing forwards. And there was that overlap. We haven't seen overlap from a fullback like that since Kiko Femenia. And we used to sit on this podcast and talk about how Femenia and Sarr linked up so well. Well, give Lewis a run in the team, and I'm sure we'll be seeing that with Lewis and Martins because the understanding is quite clearly there already. So I think Lewis is going to be an exciting player for us. And if it was me, I'd be starting him on Wednesday night.
Yeah, we had a little chat about it, maybe a little debate about it when we heard that Lewis was fit on Friday. I think Andrew French tweeted about it. Then we was talking about it in the Voices of Vic WhatsApp group, and everyone said they'd start Jamal Lewis against Birmingham, and I was the only one that said, you know what, I think I'd probably go for Morris. And the only reason why I said for Morris was we had obviously Lewis is coming back from injury. He's been out for a long time. He's not really had a full preseason, albeit he played maybe one game for Newcastle. But we had 3 games in 7 days, and that was my worry with Jamal Lewis. Would have had Birmingham on the Saturday, West Brom on the Wednesday, and then Leeds United on the Saturday. And I thought, oh, it's going to be a big ask for me. But you could see the class that he brought to the team when he was introduced onto the pitch. As much as I like James Morris, he wasn't really busting the gut like Jamal Lewis was to try and do the overlap. And when Morris does do that, I don't think Mateus Martins wants to offload it to him when he sees Morris going on the outside. It might be different with Jamal Lewis. He'll know that he's more of a senior pro and he would maybe trust him a little bit more with his delivery. But Lewis got to the byline a couple of times and he looked to try and pick out a Watford shirt. But what I liked the most about him, Mike, was we were 1-0 up. in injury time, and then Lewis just runs drives with the ball towards the Birmingham penalty box, takes it right up to the byline, and then he was like, you know what, I'm not going to put it into the box. I'm going to check it back, and now I'm going to hold the ball for a couple of seconds, just to like hold it because Watford have taken the lead. Let's slow it all the way down. But then off the back of that, 3, 4 passes later, it goes to Chapman Verdesky, and then he lays it off to 19-year-old. It was his birthday of the day. 19-year-old Ryan Andrews, who was born yards away from where he scored that goal at Watford General Hospital, and it was a deflected shot, but I'm not going to take that away from him. He got his first professional Watford goal in front of a rookery. What a moment for him, Mike. And again, he was impactful when he came off the bench. I thought he added a little bit more directness and pace than Jeremy Ngakia as well. But what a moment for Ryan Andrews. Like the rookery, Vicarage Road end, Elton John stand, Graham Taylor stand were all absolutely buzzing for him, and to everyone be singing his name as well when he was walking back to the centre circle, saying Ryan Andrews, one of his own. He's going to remember that for the rest of his life, isn't he?
Yeah, and on Academy Day as well. You know, that's what makes it brilliant. At half time, they brought all the Academy lads out. I think, I mean, you'll probably know because you were there, but I think from on the stream I was watching, I heard Tom Cleverley at half time. So don't know whether they brought him out because they've been saying that Cleverley's under 18 side have been scoring for fun at the moment. They beat Crewe 5-2 the other week, and then I think they stuck 8 past someone else and 6 one week and all this. So glad to hear on a side note that he's getting on really well with the under 18s. But yeah, what a moment. You know, we had it with Toby Adeyemu last season against Blackpool, and that was something else. But Ryan Andrews, it's been coming, Ben. It really has. You know, the amount of times, especially recently, you know,
He's wound you up a couple of times, hasn't he? Where he's taken a touch, and you know what? Did he take a touch for this one? I want to say he did take a touch.
Yeah, he did. He took a touch, and like you said, I've said on this podcast so many times, stop taking a bloody touch. But he took a touch, and it went into the back of the net. And I'm delighted for him. I really, really am. He was the shining light out of real dross last season. You know, he was something to sort of cling on to from a real poor season last season. So the fact that he's come into this season and he's playing, you know, like playing as sort of as regularly. And like you say, come on yesterday. And again, he just understood what he needed to do. I thought he was a lot different to Jeremy Ngakia. And he got his first professional goal. And if no one's seen it, go over to WD18's feed. And there's a video that they've put on of his dad, Wayne Andrews, reacting. His dad's over in Grenada at the moment in the Caribbean, I think it is. Apologies if my geography's a bit off there, but I'm sure it is. And he's reacting, and it's just pure raw emotion. And it's great to see. There's a couple of times I've seen Wayne at games.
We saw him at Coventry away last season, weren't we? He was there for his son's debut, wasn't he? He was sat in the away end about 4 or 5 rows in front of us, and he must be such a proud dad to see his journey. Like, it's just a fantastic story, isn't it, Mike? Because obviously his dad played for Watford in the 90s. He was born at Watford General Hospital. He joined Watford at the age of 8. He came through all the ages of the academy. He came into the season last season, like you say, and he was the bright light from just a shit season or a shit couple of seasons. And he's gone on to make 14 appearances for Watford now. It's not like he's had 1 or 2. He's fully grown into a role now, and he's really challenging for that right back spot as well. He's really pushing Jeremy Ngakia for it, and it's really good competition on that right hand side. And there's probably a debate out there thinking he's probably deserves to start more than Jeremy Ngakia, and he's the better player. But I just think it's just such a fantastic story for him, and to, like you say, to score on the academy day as well and get his first professional goal in front of a rookery end as well. Like, I imagine it would have been special to him if he scored in front of the away end up at the Vicarage Road end, but to score in front of a rookie is just special. And I watched an interview with him on Hive Live afterwards, and he said that from the knee slide, he's actually grazed his knee, but he doesn't care about that. He'll take those little cuts and bruises home with him. That will stay with him. Hopefully, they don't recover and he'll have scars on his knees to tell the story of. That's the time I did a knee slide in front of a rookie when I scored my first professional goal. But yeah, and with this, I mentioned there, Mike, about the little debate on who's probably the better right back or who maybe deserves to start more. Where would you edge towards? Would it be Ryan Andrews or would it be Jeremy Ngakia?
Look, I think Ryan's still got a lot of things he needs to tweak, but look, at the end of the day, he's still learning the trade of football, professional football, and the only way you're going to get better is the more you play it. I think Ngakia blows hot and cold a lot of the time. I don't think it was a bit of a sort of 50-50 game for him yesterday. He didn't set the world alight, but at the same time, he hardly had a stinker. So I think when Jez is on it, he's a real top defender, and you can see that, and you can see why he was at West Ham and why they highly rated him. But at the same time, I think Ryan is, he's took to professional football like a duck to water. And I think, what I think resonates with a lot of Watford fans is for years and years before the Potsos come in, we have been known to bring through academy players. That has been Watford that have done that. You look back to, I'm going to throw out some rogue name here, but Piero Mingoya. I remember he scored against Hartlepool.
Bloody hell, mate, you're going back.
He scored against Hartlepool in the FA Cup. And he was one that come through the academy. Ashley Young, look at how he went to go on and do. And, it's been a while, especially since the Potsos come in, that, we've had players come through the academy. And there seems to be that pathway again, especially with Omar Ritza, being part of the coaching staff now as well. That pathway is hopefully going to be there again. And, that's ultimately what we want as Watford fans. So, I'm delighted for Ryan, and I think he will only go from strength to strength. And for me, I don't see why he shouldn't be playing. Yeah, like I said at the start of the question, there are flaws to his game, but there's going to be. He's new to professional football. He's not even made 20 senior appearances yet. But like I said also, he'll only learn by playing more games. So for me, Andrews wins that debate for me. And that's nothing against Ngakia. But do you know what I'm most pleased about is actually having the depth in that position. If Andrews doesn't play and Ngakia plays, and for me, I'm happy with that. And that's ultimately what we want.
The depth and the competition, but also the quality of the players as well, isn't it? And like Joseph said, the same as you, Andrews for me, he has a lot to learn still, but he offers a bit more than Ngakia at the moment. And I think what he offers more is, I think he's more direct. I think he gets forward quicker than Ngakia as well. And Ngakia, whenever he gets on the ball, I don't think he looks to cross it first time. He always seems to want to take a touch or try to do that drag back and try and beat a man, which is a little disappointing sometimes because I just want football to flow a little bit more under Valerie Ismail, and it's a little stop-start sometimes. And I feel like whenever Ngakia gets the ball in the side, it's a little bit stop-start for him. But Andrews, on the other hand, he just seems like, right, I'm on a mission. I know what I need to do. I know where I need to get at. I need to cross the ball first time. Well, the only thing he slides down is maybe taking that touch before he has the shot, Mike, isn't it? But doesn't matter. It went in yesterday. But yeah, that's also it's been a good week for Andrews as well, because last week it was called up for the England under-19 squad as well, which is absolutely fantastic for him. So hopefully he continues to build on that and then ends up doing the 20s, 21s, and that's very good for him as well. And you talking about this is what it means to Watford fans about having an academy player come through. Jacob Coleslaw put out a tweet yesterday on Ryan Andrews, and it said, "This is what our club's has been built on academy players like Andrew coming through the ranks and making their name in the first team. It's just a special moment, and it happened last year with Toby Abiemu as well. It just means that little bit more, doesn't it, Mike? When it's an academy player, it's one of your own, and you've seen them do well because you're just rooting for him a little bit more than maybe a player that you've signed elsewhere because you know they've not cost anything really. All the only thing that they've cost is their development through the club, but it's so worthwhile when it goes right.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, like I said, since the Potso's come in, that's maybe stalled a little bit because we were a team that were blood through youngsters from the youth academy, and we perhaps thought that that sort of avenue was closed off since Mr. Potso come in. We've made changes in the last few years. We've obviously got Jimmy Gilligan and Richard Johnson sort of heading things up with the academy. Cleverly just gone as the lead coach for the under 18. So, you know, we're making steps to make sure that that avenue reopens. And that's what any football fan wants at the end of the day. There's nothing better than having someone come through your academy and you develop them as a player and they go on to big things. Like you say, Andrews was part of the England youth set up in the international break. And that's absolutely brilliant. And, you know, in years to come, wherever he ends up, you know, there's nothing better than seeing a player reach the top of his game. Like we'll probably see with João Pedro. I know we didn't, you know, blood him through from the youth academy, but you know, we brought him over and he plied his trade at Watford. But, you know, I'm sure there'll be many proud Watford fans that if he eventually makes a senior appearance for Brazil, you know, there'll be many Watford fans that say, you know, we had him, we saw him, we saw him play really well at Watford and now he's playing for Brazil in a major tournament. And, you know, you want players, that was probably a bit of a crap example because he didn't come through the youth academy, but Ashley Young had a superb career. You know, played for Manchester United, Aston Villa, he's at Everton. He's
Jadon
trained.
Sancho.
Jadon Sancho, exactly. If you want to be really, really tedious, you can count Bukayo Saka. He was at Watford
Liam
as
Henderson.
yeah. Harry Kane. If you want to nitpick, Harry Kane was apparently at Watford as a kid. Akin Fenwa. Maybe he's the other end of the scale, but yeah, at the end of the day, to see a player, you know, you want to see them go on that journey, and if they're playing at the top level in years to come, you look back and you're like, Watford brought this guy through. Watford is a reason he's where he is, and that's what you want to be proud of your club.
What else it does for me though, it shows the pathway into the first team, and it gives everyone else who's in the academy years confidence and belief that if they knuckle down and put in as much work as what Ryan Andrews has done, that they possibly might be given the opportunity in the first team as well. Like young Jack Greaves has signed a new professional contract with Watford as well, and he could have gone elsewhere in the summer, but he hasn't. Maybe he believes that there's a pathway into it, and also when are looking elsewhere to maybe cherry pick youngsters from their academies to feed them into Watford's academies, going, look, come to Watford, we will give you more of an opportunity in getting into first teams. That's what it does for me as well. I think it gives more belief to the youngsters what they got as more of a pathway to get into that first team.
Well,
But
you've
Mike
got
is
that Laken Torres. He's come from Chesterfield, and at the moment, I don't know if he's under 18s or under 21s or the under 23. Sorry, he come from Chesterfield, and he scored 52 goals in one season for Chesterfield youth. And Watford have obviously come along and said, "Look, mate, here's a few players that have made the jump. Come and play for us, ply your trade in the youth team for a bit, and who knows where you might be." And, you know, we could be sitting on a gem. He could be another Alex Jakubiak for all we know. But at the end of the day, you don't know till you take the gamble, do you?
not at all. And he came off the bench in the youth game at home a couple of weeks ago when Watford were losing, and he scored 2 goals, and Watford went on to win the game as well. So he's already scored goals for the under 23s this season as well. So he's hitting the floor running for them. So hopefully that continues and his development keeps going up. But it was a 2-0 victory yesterday, Mike, but I think it's only a 2-0 victory, and it's down to a certain man of Daniel Batman. I think if it was, yeah, that double save was absolutely fantastic from Scott Hogan, and also the chance in the first half from Jay Stansfield as well. Within 30 seconds, Rajovic lost the ball, and Birmingham was on a quick counter attack, and he has to be sharp and switched on from the moment that whistle blows, and he was on it. And I just want to talk about him a little bit, Mike, because I think we're quick enough to come on here and say whenever he's put in bad performances, but we equally need we also put give him credit whenever he's performed well. And yesterday was a really strong performance from Daniel Batman's, probably his best performance of the season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I must admit, when you said we got to thank one man, I thought you were going to say Keith Stroud, but I thought he was. I thought he was very biased yesterday, considering he's a Luton fan. And my mate Jamie actually thought that the reason that he was so biased was because he was a Luton fan. He was trying to overcompensate. But yeah, the less said about him, the better, I think. But yeah, Bachmann, brilliant. And, he's come under a lot of scrutiny this season. It's quite clear that the way that he's being asked to play, he's never been asked to play that way before. He is struggling. But at the end of the day, you can't blame him. Yeah, you can probably blame the team if they wanted a keeper that plays out from the back and he's good with his feet. We could have recruited one instead of giving Bachmann a 5-year deal in the captaincy. But Ismail obviously trusts him, and he's obviously a good leader behind the scenes. And like you said, we're quick enough to jump on his back when he's had a shit performance. But yesterday, as you say, kept us in the game. I am going to I'm going to be a bit picky about one thing, though, and that is the double save from Hogan. That first save was absolutely brilliant. I thought the second save, the follow-up one, Hogan put it straight at him. If I'm John Eustace, I'm absolutely going ballistic at Hogan in the changing room at the end of the game for not putting that anywhere other than at Bachmann, because all he has to do is put it to the side of him, put it above him, and it goes in the back of the net, and they're 1-0 up, and it could be a different game altogether. But yeah, I thought yesterday he did what he needed to do, and yeah, credit to him. And look, I think you put a tweet out earlier, didn't you, Ben? And you mentioned it earlier. That's 3 clean sheets out of 4 home games now.
Yeah.
So he's reaping what he's sowing at the moment.
Well, we know he's one of the best shot stoppers in the league. And early on this season, we know how Valerie Ismail likes his goalkeepers to play. They like them to play quite high, like them to be on the front foot with their passing and have a lot of time with the ball at their feet. And that QPR game, he looked very uncomfortable, didn't he, Mike? But since then, we have seen an improvement in his game. And I think Gioretta and Manga said this at the fans forum. Someone questions going, Daniel Batman, he's no good at his feet. He's not going to work into the system. And I think their reply was, we'll coach him. And Daniel Batman's coming across as a guy who is being coached. He seems more comfortable. But don't get me wrong, there's a couple of times when the ball goes back to him and the front line of Birmingham's chasing him down, and you think, oh, it's just a natural reaction from fans where you're like, oh God, oh shit, get rid of it. But then he's putting his hands up afterwards, going, calm down, nothing's gone wrong. I've passed it out. This is a way that he wants us to play. And he seems more used to it. And I know he had a bit of a mistake in the midweek for Austria, and he conceded a goal. But you know what? He can go on international duty every week and make those mistakes. Get him out of his system on international duty. Just don't bring it back to Watford. And hopefully that's him getting it out of his system now. And he's going to be all right, and is that safe, reliable goalkeeper that you need at the back with his shot stopping ability. And if he can add to this game, which it looks like he's been doing in the last couple of weeks by being more composed on the ball. There was one time, Mike, he absolutely pinged it across field from one end of the pitch to the other, and I thought, bloody hell, he's got that in his locker as well. It was pinpoint accuracy cross field pass. And I thought, so he's mixing it up now. He's not just doing a short pass to Hoot to his left or Porteous to the right. He's actually going to go long and find his man as well. But yeah, credit to where credit's due on Daniel Batman yesterday. I did think he was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, Watford won 2-0 at home to Birmingham City. Which was, I'd say it's a deserved win, Mike. Birmingham didn't really trouble us too much. I think Stanfield had that fantastic effort from outside the box, and then the double save as well. But I don't really think Birmingham really troubled us. I thought we kept them at arm's length. Really, I thought the defence did quite well. We coped with them. So I'll put it down as maybe a deserved victory. It was just a late show from the Hornets. What would you have it down to? Was it a deserved victory for you?
Up until the sending off, I think a draw would have been a fair result, to be honest. And I think Eustace has every right to feel hard done by coming away from the Vicarage Road with a loss. But at the end of the day, one mistake from Birmingham player, and we take advantage of the 10 men. And so, yeah, probably a draw would have been a fair result. But I'm obviously delighted to get the 3 points. It was needed.
Yeah, first win since the opening day of the season against QPR. So yeah, much needed victory as well. Moved us up the table, six positions. We're at home to West Bromwich Albion on Wednesday as well, which is back-to-back home games. Is massive for us as well. And I just thought the atmosphere inside Vicarage Road as well. You probably didn't hear it so well listening from home, Mike, but I thought early doors the crowd was up for it. And Valerie Ishmael even said in his press conference as well, he thanked the fans for being patient as well. There was no moans or groans with it when it was 0-0. There was lots of passing sideways. The fans didn't get on their backs, and I think fans are realising that this is a project. It's going to take time, and when it clicks, it will be good, and we're going to flourish, and we're going to move up the table. But it's going to take time sometimes, and the fans stuck with the players yesterday, and we got the goal in the 91st minute, and then again in like the 96th minute to win the game, which was fantastic. But I think that was important, Mike, wasn't it? But Valerie Ishmael, it's a message to the fans as well, in my eyes as well. I think he's going to say, okay, you was patient on Saturday, and you need to be patient for the rest of the season, because there's going to be similar situations where we're knocking on the door and we can't find a way through. But if you stick with us, we'll get the rewards.
Yeah, I think this comment here from Sam sums it up. He said, I think we've looked the better side in every game, just polishing the new regime and tactics. Got to stay positive and believe. Consistency and trust in the manager is key. And we've finally seen a bit of trust in the manager. And it looks like we are going to back him. I'm sure you've got it written down in your notes there, Ben, but there's talk of him having his contract extended, which, it's almost unheard of for Watford.
I thought it was April Fool's when I saw that.
I know, yeah. I thought, what the hell's going off there? Maybe it's to give him a bigger payout when we sack him. I don't know. Maybe they've thought, you know what, he's a good guy. We'll give him a bigger payout when we sack him. But no, it is about keeping consistent, and we have looked good in every game that we've played, I think, personally. And look, it's a new dawn for the club, a new way of playing, and I think we just need to be patient with it. So absolutely, it's great to hear that the crowd were very patient. I couldn't tell from watching at home, to be honest. I must give Birmingham fans credit. All I heard all game was Birmingham fans. I thought they were brilliant. They always travel in good numbers anyway.
What, that annoying Sanderson song? Sanderson, yeah.
Yeah,
I had it in my head last night when I was trying to get to sleep.
I didn't know whether they were singing about that Keshi Anderson, because neither did John Marks or Tommy Mooney. But when Keshi Anderson went off, they sang a different song for him. So, but yeah, like I say, going back to your question, I think it's different times at the moment for Watford. We're in a bit of a new era. We've cleared out the deadwood. It looks like we're finally giving the manager a chance. So we need to be patient. Things aren't going to be perfect. Like, we've won 2 games. We've won 2, drawn 2, and lost 2. So we've literally had it all so far. And there are going to be tough times in this season. There might be a couple of times, or there might be a time where we lose sort of 3-4 on a bounce. That's when we can't go, pulling the trigger and firing Valerian Ishmael, and that's when we can't get on the players' backs. We need to ride out these bad times because, you know, like I've said previously, as long as we see a Watford team that are putting 110% in, then, you know, that is what we've been asking for and crying out for the last 2 seasons. So it's good to hear that the crowd were very patient yesterday, and it paid off. They got the reward in the end, and we won 2-0 against a very good team who I think are going to be up there this season.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I think there's a really good example of the togetherness and the togetherness in the squad at the moment, and them wanting the team to succeed is Ryan Andrews' second goal yesterday. There was a video put out on Watford socials where the camera was focused on the bench. I think they was obviously waiting for the full-time whistle and wanted to get their reaction, but little did they know Ryan Andrews was going to pop up to get his first goal for the club. But you could just see then that the video of the fringe players, they really care. You wouldn't have got that the last couple of seasons. They were delighted and they was all hugging and cheering, and they just look as a group. They look like a team, and that's what we've missed the last couple of seasons. And Val's came into Watford, and he's ripped it up, hasn't he? He's ripped up everything that was there in the past. He's gone right. We need to get rid of X amount of players. I only want players that want to be at Watford. So lots of deadwoods have gone. There's a new way of recruiting players this year, and that might be down to Manga as well. They've got to pass tests on like personnel checks on personalities and that, and they want to have a look into their eyes and see if they really want to be at Watford. And they've signed players with that in mind. So the people we've seen this season are showing the willingness to succeed for Watford. And we've not seen that in the last couple of seasons. We might have signed more talented players, but more talented players don't win you games. Like they could easily throw their toys out the pram and be the worst personality in the changing rooms. Now we've actually got a group with some leaders in there as well. We've lacked leaders in the past, and I just think Valerie Ishmael needs a lot of credit, and I don't think he's getting a lot of credit from outside of Watford that he might deserve, because I think Watford fans are appreciating what he's doing and are liking what he's done with the team, the style of play, the feel good factor back at Vicarage Road. But I don't think people outside of Watford are seeing that. So for me, seeing the news that we're looking to maybe improve his contract or extend his contract, I'm like, okay, this is a sign that Gino and Scott and Ben Manga, they want to change the way Watford have been operating. They can see that Valerie Ishmael's got something here, and they can see that it's exciting. It's got the fans on side, and they want to show the fans that we want to change. But I think from outside a point of view, like second tier podcast, for example, they tweeted about it thinking, oh, we're going to get loads of reactions to this. Everyone else are like, what? Watford want to renew his contract after 6 games, but they're not looking at the bigger picture. They're not seeing the overhaul of the squad. They're not seeing the change of mentality. They're not seeing the discipline he's brought to the side. They're not seeing the style of play he's brought to it. They're not seeing how excited fans are now. Like we've actually got fans that are wanting to attend games now. Last season, a few times I was like, "What they're playing? Oh fuck this! I'm just going to stream it at home. I can't be asked to travel to Vicarage Road." Now I'm like, I'm going midweek for West Brom at home. Normally I'd stick that on the red button last week, but now I actually want to go to Vicarage Road to watch this team because it's exciting, and that's all down to Valerie Ishmael. So, do you think that he's not getting the right respect and yeah, the respect that I think he probably deserves from outside of the club?
Look, when
And does it really matter? I guess it doesn't matter.
no, it doesn't matter. And to be honest, I think that we sort of made a rod for our own back. To be honest, we're never going to gain respect to manager at Watford because we tend to bloody, see him off after a couple of months. And I'm sure I saw the clip you're on about from Second Tier Podcast. I didn't dare click on it to read the comments, but I can only imagine what they were saying. And we're usually the butt of every joke when it comes to managers. I'm seeing comedy TV shows now. There was one with Jack Whitehall in it, and there was a sketch where they mentioned I was going to apply to be the next Watford manager, but I don't know if I'd be long enough. And, you know, we're getting on TV now in terms of people talking about how often we go through managers. And I don't for 1 minute expect us to gain any respect from outside looking in, because we've sort of, like I say, made that rod for our own back because we get rid of managers. But look, at the end of the day, Valérien Ismaël's come in, and there was a lot of sort of unknown at the start of the season. I know a couple of podcasts spoke to West Brom fans, Barnsley podcasts, etc., and they all said the same thing, very stubborn and all this, and we thought, right, here we go again. But as I pointed out the other week, you know, he's changed it up, and whether that's because he knows he needed to change it up from how he's been in the past, or whether it's because he can change it up with the players that he's got here. But at the end of the day, as you said, Ben, I couldn't give a rat's ass what anyone thinks outside of Watford. He's come in, he's been given the squad, he's been told, right, we will sign players that you want to play in your system, and he's being trusted. And that's what we want at the end of the day. We want a team that plays for the manager. I think Crouchy said in the comments, he doesn't take any shit. Loser's one of the, you know, better players this season. He got dropped because he turned up late to training. You know, in the past, would that have happened? Would it have fuck? You know, he'd have walked straight into the side. So, you know, player power has been a massive problem over the last few years, and you know that's all come to fruition. You've had the whole Ben Foster stuff, the Troy Deeney stuff, but now it finally feels like slowly but surely we're getting our club back. And just going back on something you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, that video of when Ryan Andrews scored, that was wholesome. We've got leaders. We've got the right mix of having experience and youth as well. Livermore, you can tell, even though he's not going to play week in, week out, he's going to be so key this season. Jamal Lewis knows the Championship inside out. We've got rid of Tom Cleverley, Dan Gosling, Craig Cathcart, 3 players there straight away that know the Championship like the back of their hand. So you have to replace them in certain moulds. And yeah, you know, a lot of people didn't agree with some of the players we brought in, but at the end of the day, they know the league. And as long as we're not signing like, sort of journeyman, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, I'm buzzing with the job that Ismaël's doing. And as long as we stick by him and give him time, I'm sure he'll have a successful time at Watford.
He's coming across really likeable, isn't he, as well? And you can see that he's got the respect for players as well. And that's not happened in the last couple of seasons, really. I don't think the players have given the authority to the managers and given them the respect that they need to be in charge. But Valérien Ismaël, he looks like he is a guy that walks into a room and he gets your respect straight away. And it's good to see that he's getting that from the players. But yeah, Watford 2-0 winners at home to Birmingham City. We're at home Wednesday night against West Bromwich Albion. Unfortunately, there's not going to be a West Bromwich Albion preview podcast from us. It's just too tight for us to fill it in, and these midweek games are it's difficult to do a preview and a review. We thought about maybe doing one on the end of a review show, but it just would have been mega long for you all. So I do apologise for that. And for anyone that is watching at the moment, I have done a graphic for our game that we've played with the opposition podcasts. Played for both spot challenge. So I'm not going to post it on our social media pages because Mike believes it will give them an upper hand because they'll see that and know what they expect about coming onto the page. That we've had 2 people on from podcasts already. We've got Jamie from the Birmingham City podcast. He's guessed 3 players right so far, so he's overtaken Glenn from the Sky Blue Hub, who's could only name 2 players that have played for both teams. I'm not expecting many people to get maybe more than 5, but it's just a bit of fun, isn't it, Mike? Just to see everyone's knowledge, and it's always good to throw them on the spot. But you enjoying this challenge so far, Mike?
I think this Leeds fan that I'm speaking to a Leeds fan on Tuesday night. We're gonna release it as a podcast probably on Thursday after the West Brom game. But I think he's going to smash it out of the park. and I think he's going to sit pretty at the top of the table. But yeah, it's just really different. We want to be we want to be different. You know, do not scratch your eyes. They've got the brilliant prediction league. You know, John with his backgammon
That
set.
feature with John Parslow is
It's
absolutely
brilliant.
hilarious. And
It
and
is
just quickly, whilst we're talking about John as well, like condolences to John. Obviously, we all know he's a massive dog walker and that, and you hear him on the "Do Not Scratch Your Eyes" Twitter feed. He's always walking his dog in Rickmansworth. But sadly, his dog Pippa passed away last weekend. I think the day before his Great North run, wasn't it, Mike? So yeah, commiserations, and yeah, we're thinking about you, John. I know it's difficult to, it's like losing a family member at times, and yeah, so thinking about you, mate, and yeah, congratulations on smashing the Great North Run as well. I know how much work you put into that as well, so yeah, fair play to
absolutely.
you, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, Mike. So you're doing a preview Tuesday, so it's going to be out Thursday after the West Brom game.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm speaking to a Leeds fan called Adam. He's not from a Leeds United podcast as such, but he's from a podcast, and I'll talk more about that in the build up when I record on Tuesday. You must check it out. It's a great podcast. But just going back to the running, I just want to give a shout out to Ali, who I met at the Newark Park Run. He he lives in Newark. I on a bit of a mission at the moment. I'm obviously training for the 10K, sorry, that I'm doing in November, and I'm on a bit of a mission at the moment that I'm trying to run as many different park run venues as possible. Now, there's over 1,200 of them in the UK, so I doubt I'm going to be completing all of them anytime soon, but I want to complete as many of them as possible. I've done all the Lincoln ones, and Newark was next on the list. Ali's a Watford fan, as I mentioned. He lives in Newark at the moment, and yeah, we met up at, before the run, and he very kindly ran with me. He sacrificed his quicker time for my slower time, and yeah, ran side by side with me. So it was great to meet Ali. But yeah, just going back to what I was saying, I'm going to be recording with a Leeds fan on Tuesday. And it'll be out for your enjoyment on Thursday. But I think he's going to smash it out the park, Ben. I think, yeah, he'll be sitting pretty at the top for quite some time. You're on mute, Ben. Sorry for those that it's quiet. Ben is on mute at the moment. In case you're wondering why it's so quiet, there we go.
I'm having a mare tonight, aren't I? We were
That was
saying
my
earlier
fault.
that
That was my fault.
whenever Mike speaks, I need to put myself on mute because it echoes sometimes. So that's why I've been caught out a little bit there. But I was basically saying, thank you everyone for watching tonight. We really appreciate your support. We love the interaction from all of you as well. So if you're watching, always put something into the comments. If we don't read it out, we'll definitely show it up onto the screen as well. We do see everything that comes in. If you like the video, hit that like button as well. Hit that subscribe button as well, and that bell in the corner. It will notify you for when we actually go live as well, so you'll never miss a live episode of the Voices of Vic. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. What a fantastic weekend for Watford. We're back to winning ways. We've moved up the table. Luton Town lost. They are still on nil pro. I think they're doing their best UK entry for the Eurovision, sitting bottom of the table on nil pro. Long may it continue. And also Strictly's back for all the Strictly lovers. It's back. So enjoy that on a Saturday evening as well. But yeah, we'll see you midweek. Come on, you ones.